All right, let's get in here. I've got a few little bits to show you, talk about a few different things. Okay, all the hardware has been mounted onto the what's it called, the rear hugger. There's a reason it's not on the bike yet, and it's likely to never go on the bike. I will tell you about that in a second. We've got 2 packages that turned up for the bike. We'll have a look at those later. And also, you may notice what's missing from here, the crash bars. I've taken the crash bars off because they was in a right state, like a really pretty bad way. So I've taken them off. I've put some Q rust on the baddest parts, and since then I've degreased them. We can see how bad the rust is on there. I mean, it's only at the surface and the paint has gone from it as well, but yeah, so we've got to sort this out. So it's been degreased. I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to repaint those myself. I have some primer, I have some nitromorse. Hopefully it does say it gets rid of paint on metal, but I presume these have been powder coated, so I'm hoping this stuff can take off powder coating. We will see. And also I've got the satin black paint to go over it. Now with this satin black stuff, it says no primer required, but because these are in quite poor shape, we're going to strip all the paint off, sand it, and I'm going to put a coat of primer on it, and then we're going to put on the tough black. All right, so that's going to happen. So this video will probably be done over a few days, but obviously I'll condense it all down into like 20 minutes or whatever. Right, let's talk about this hugger. Now, the reason it's not on is because when I put it on a few days ago, it all went on all fine, no problems there, very easy to put on, just 2 bolts. Basically, it fits via the 2 existing caliper bolts. So you take the 2 caliper bolts out there, you put the 2 that come supplied with a hugger and with 2 spacers, and they all go in fine. Very, very easy to do. But as I was looking at it when it was on, something reminded me of why I took it off in the first place. Not only because of the looks of it, which I don't particularly like, but I was going through all my old MOTs, and I seem to recall they mentioned something about the rear caliper bolts whilst this thing was fitted, and it is because if you look at this, rear brake component, caliper bolts too long and touching the disc. The bolts that come supplied with this, let me open these up, this is all the hardware. Even though it comes with the spacers obviously between the caliper and this, these bolts are just coming out just to the other side of the caliper. Only like a few, like a touch, but it was enough for them to make a comment on the MOT test. This was done back in 2018 and it failed because of that. So because of that, this isn't going back on the bike. So I don't know what to do. I might just sell it. It's in, you know, I've sprayed it all up. It looks not the best spray paint job in the world, but whatever. It's I've ACF 50 all the hardware on it, so it should and I've glued that crack that's in it as well. So it's in excellent condition as it is now, but I don't want to risk failing an MOT again if they spot that these bolts are slightly too long and they're almost touching the brake disc. So it's weird because these ones, the bolts on here, they don't come out the back of the caliper. It's like they're flush. It's like they're flush with the caliper. Yeah, you can actually see it there. Look. So there's the rear, one of the bolts, and it is. I can actually feel it. It is flush with the actual caliper itself. But the other ones were poking out, not by much, only like a few mil, but it's enough to them to fail it. So the thing is, I love the look of the bike as it is. I love that kind of clear, sort of naked rear end. It looks good. Yes, you get a lot of muck and grub on the swing arm, but I think that's just the price I'm going to have to pay, because yeah, I can't risk putting this back on the bike and failing an MOT again. All right. Oh my goodness. So back to the, so that's what's been happening. So back to this. So like I said, they've been degreased twice actually, and the degreaser I used, in case you are interested, I used two actually. I used the WD-40 degreaser initially, and then I went over a coat of this stuff, the heavy duty degreaser from 3-in-1. That's like a foam one, so that sticks to it. So that's the last one I did. Then I rinsed it all off. So what I want to do today is get a bucket of hot soapy water, give a good brush, get any, if there's any more grease left on there, clean that off, and then I'm going to start putting the nitro moss on it and leaving it. I'm hoping that should work. It should work. It does say for metal. Strips all paint from wood and metal, but we will see. So let's get the bucket of hot water out and give those a good clean. Someone did actually say on a comment on the video when I mentioned doing these crash bars, they said, why don't you just take it to the powder coaters like you did with the rear rack, which makes sense. I should do that, but keeping in the theme of, you know, trying to learn, well, not learn new things, but do new things on the bike. I've never taken anything off the bike, re-sprayed it and put it back on. So my spraying skills or my spraying knowledge and experience is minimal at best. So I'm just going to give it a shot. I know the steps I need to take. I shall give it my best shot, see how it looks. And if it doesn't look good, then I'll take it to the powder coaters, let them do it. But for something like this, I think doing it yourself is okay. I know I said it before, but I love these road mics so much, because I can come over here and not have to scream at the camera so you can hear me. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't technology wonderful? I'm going to give these a quick rinse off, get all the soap off, then we're going to go crazy with the nitro moss. Come on. You know, I know it sounds silly, but I'm really grateful for the fact that I have a garden and an outdoor tap, because I never had all this stuff before. I was just sort of yeah, I just didn't have an outdoor things. I couldn't clean the bike properly and couldn't do stuff like this. So look at the state of the lens. Oh boy. Just going to stick these up here for a little bit, because in the sun you can actually feel the heat. Let those drip dry for a second. Tell you what, whilst it's out in the sun, it's a good opportunity to show you just the how bad. Now these, on each one it has this sort of little kind of Allen bolt head screw which goes in here. That just holds the adjoining bar in place, and then the other side clocks onto there. These were really hard to get out. Done it in the end, and I cleaned all the threads, put a bit of copper grease on there, and now they go in and out perfectly, because basically this area here sits directly behind the exhaust pipe, so it's blasted by the heat of the exhaust. It's getting covered in road grime and wet, so to be honest, they've held up quite well considering the amount of abuse they get. And the other one is pretty much just as bad. And the centre bar is the worst. That's why I want to put primer on it, just to make it look a bit better. I'm going to sand the majority of that down, get rid of that sort of lumpiness on it, hopefully. And yeah, we'll go from there. Right, let's get the nitro moss out. I'm gloved up. Oh yes. That is the stuff right there. They say apply it pretty liberally, so that's what I'm going to do. gonna slap it on like I'm icing a cake. I think what I'll do is I'll just do this section here. I think you leave it on for 15 minutes, I think it says. How does it say? Oh, 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Just to see, because there's no point in coating the whole thing if it's not going to have an effect on powder coat paint. I'll have to find a different method if it doesn't work. Right, we'll leave that. Come back in, we'll give it 10 minutes. See you in 10. Alright, so it's been about 20 minutes actually since I put this stuff on. Let's see. It's bubbling up a little bit at the back there. Actually, let me get something I can actually scrape it with. This old knife will do. Oh yes, look at that. Oh, that's coming off nice. Down to the bare metal there. Okay, good. So it does work. It doesn't work as effectively as it does on sort of household paint, you know, like on door frames and all that sort of stuff. Because I've actually used that in the house. But you know what? That's not bad. That is not bad at all. Okay. Let's go full steam ahead and just cover the whole thing. Let's just do it. Let's go. Right, let's just go, Billy. Let's just go. Less yapping, more painting. Okay, so there we go, all fully coated top to toe, both sides. I'm going to do a couple of coats of that, and I think I'll leave this video here as it is. The next video will be stripping and putting on the primer, so we'll see how that goes. And these packages I forgot to say, almost forgot. Right, let me get the tripod, hold on. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is, actually I'll show you this one first, this will make more sense. When I was changing the rear brake pads on the bike, I noticed that the slider mechanism, although it's working, it's quite notchy and gritty, so I've got a full caliper seal kit. So I'm going to strip down the rear caliper, replace the seals, replace all the rubber mounts and all the washers there and the bleed nipple and all that sort of stuff, and see how we go with that. I've never done that before, so that'll be a new learning experience for me, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And in relation to that as well, I've also got these little brushes, these little nylon brushes to go in the Dremel, so I can get into that caliper and give it a good scrub. These are quite soft, so just for the outside, obviously I'm not going to touch the inside where the pistons go, just give that a clean. So this has just turned up from the lovely people at Wimoto. I forgot to mention, when I've been taking the bike out to go to work in the morning, I found some fluid directly below the main reservoir for the rear brake. Now what I found was, let's just open this up. So I've actually bought myself a brand new master cylinder reservoir for the back, and the reason being, on my one on the bike, just where this pipe meets the cylinder, there's a tiny little crack, and it's enough to make it like lose about 2 or 3 drips of brake fluid overnight. So what I've done is I've put a bit of this stuff, the epoxy resin, just in that sort of joint there, and that's sort of, whoa, who put that there? So that's just sort of stopped it flowing out, but I don't want to have it on there as it is, because you don't really want to mess around with your brakes. So I got this from them. That was how much? 19 quid from Wingmoto, which is pretty good, I'd say. So that's going to go on when we do all the seal kit as well. Cool. So they're sitting out there baking in that Nitromorse, getting a lovely tan. So the next video will be, I'm just going to concentrate on doing the crash bars first, but then coming up soon will be a full strip and rebuild of the rear caliper, because it needs it, it's manky. And if that goes well, I might do the fronts as well, although they're not as bad, they're a lot cleaner. Alright, that's it guys, we're done. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.